Up next, we have Lean Creativity and Innovation in Academic Medicine. That'll be with Ashley, and Denise will be introducing her in just a moment.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Coming in great, thank you.
Okay. I won't take much of Ashley's time because she's got a wonderful presentation to share with our Lean community today. Ashley is my dear colleague and friend from University of California, San Diego Health. So when we are doing our Australian bit for finding presentations, I'm always grateful to my US colleagues for helping us with this time of the day because they're still up. And I know Europe's asleep and US certainly getting towards the end of the day. So it's great to have you scheduled now, Ashley, and you are going to share with us now. And I'm just going to make sure your screen works okay to share before I disappear.
Is that good?
Yes, fantastic.
Okay, wonderful. Well, hello, everyone, and good afternoon from California. It's very sunny here today, so I'm sending lots of warmth to all of you. I feel incredibly lucky to be joining you for this 24-hour virtual Lean Global Network gathering. It's a true testament to the power of collaboration that we can come together like this, united by a shared passion for transformation and continuous improvement. I'm energized by the chance to connect across time zones and oceans. So thank you so much for the warm welcome, Denise. I'm truly delighted to be here with you today. As Denise mentioned, I work in healthcare at the University of California in San Diego, where I lead efforts in strategic transformation, improvement, and innovation across our organization. While I'll be sharing examples from our healthcare experience, the core principles we've applied are universal and can resonate across industries. I'm looking forward to exploring those ideas together. Today, I want to talk about how lean thinking can help us not only improve our services and offerings, but also transform them. This isn't about fixing what's broken. It's about reimagining what's possible. Many of our industries are at a moment where incremental change isn't enough. We need bold, open-ended innovation. And the good news, we already have the tools. We just need to use them differently. Lean thinking not only provides a structured way to solve problems, but can help when we need to redefine them. And I'll share stories from our journey to show what's possible when we think differently. So let's be honest. Does anyone else feel like this lately? Like we're doing our best to deliver excellent services while the landscape around us is on fire? In my industry, we see headlines like staffing shortages, policy changes, AI disruption, health disparities, burnout, and more. It's so much. And at UC San Diego Health, we've faced layoffs, acquisitions, AI adoption and rejection, patient access challenges, and funding shortfalls. And we're not alone. These aren't isolated issues. They're systemic, and they're not going away. In fact, the healthcare landscape will look very different in 5 years. So the question is, what do we need to be doing? My thesis is that we must embrace open-ended, innovative problem solving to deliver unprecedented value. We need to be strategic and innovative. We need to be proactive. We need to build systems that are resilient, adaptable, and capable of delivering new value in new ways. And we need to tap into the incredible talent that we've already hired to do this. And I'll acknowledge this is probably feeling overwhelming right now. And my goal in this talk is to remind you that we do have the tools to navigate this. It's just a matter of applying them differently. And if you're at this talk, there's good news. Your organization is not starting from scratch. Our institutions have a strong foundation in Lean, the tools, behaviors, and mindsets that have helped us improve service, reduce waste, and empower teams. Our challenge is to help organizations go beyond incremental improvement. Often, we talk about problem solving as one activity, but not all problem solving is the same, and treating it that way can limit our impact. Each of our organizations have unique strengths, and the challenge is to leverage these strengths creatively. So, as serendipity would have it, Art Smalley just presented in the half hour preceding this session. And I hope he's listening now because we're going to talk about his book, 4 Types of Problems, because it differentiates the various types of problem solving. Types 1 and 2, troubleshooting and closing the gaps, are reactive types of problem solving. Types 3 and 4, target condition and open-ended, are proactive improvement activities. We'll focus on type 4 today, but let's be very clear. Types 1, 2, and 3 are foundational. Without them, we cannot sustain the gains we make through innovation. We need to problem solve to optimize existing systems, but we also need to problem solve to create new value. We're being called to transform, not just improve. Unlike fixing a known issue, type 4 is visionary. It's about imagining a future that doesn't yet exist. Let me walk you through a metaphor that helps illustrate this. Imagine you're riding your bike down the street and you get a flat tire. You stop, you patch it, and you get yourself home. That's a type 1 solution, quick, reactive, and necessary. But when you get home, you realize, I don't want this to happen again. So you investigate. You go to Gemba and discover a small gash in the tire. You retrace your route and find a damaged metal grate at the bottom of your driveway. So you fix the grate. That's type 2, addressing the root cause. But then you think bigger. You think, how could I prevent flat tires altogether? You upgrade to puncture-resistant tires and set up a regular maintenance routine. That's type 3, system-level improvement. But after all that, a new idea hits you. What if I didn't need tires at all? Now that's type 4. You've redefined the problem space entirely. Often, our problems are more complex than flat tires, but the principle is the same. Type 4 asks for us to step outside the boundaries, to challenge assumptions, and to create something radically new. It's not just about doing things better, it's about doing better things. We're often asked to innovate, but that word can mean very different things. When you're particularly stuck or find yourself in uncharted territory, that's where level 4 problem solving comes in. So let me share a story that illustrates what level 4 problem solving looks like in action. I'll be sharing an example from our work in primary care, what we in the United States refer to as the first point of contact for patients, such as family medicine or general practice. While the terminology may vary globally, the principles of accessible coordinated care are widely relevant. Back in 2018, our market share for primary care was just 2%. And that had been fine for years. Our academic medicine model was sustained by referrals to tertiary and quaternary care. But the competitive landscape in San Diego was shifting. We could no longer rely on those referrals alone. We needed to grow our market share. A type 1 response might have been to call up our network and ask for more referrals. Type 2 would call for us to analyze the data, identify where referrals were dropping, and do targeted outreach. We could have reached for type 3 and set a modest goal, say 3% market share, and stretch to meet it. But we realized this wasn't just a growth problem, it was a transformation opportunity. So we asked, what if we didn't just want 3%? What if we wanted 10%? And more importantly, what if we wanted to be the healthcare provider that cares for patients throughout their whole lives, not just when they're very sick? That was an identity change for us. So we treated it as a level 4 problem. We take a very person-centered approach, and so we held a week-long 3P event with 55 stakeholders from across our system. We reimagined what primary care could be if it were truly designed around lifelong relationships with patients. Over the next 6 years, we built new services, redesigned access and experience, and launched community care, a new offering staffed by non-faculty providers. The result? Our market share grew to 10% in just 7 years. But it wasn't just growth. It was a shift in how we allocate resources, how we defined our identity, and how our community sees us. That's the power of Type 4 problem solving. It doesn't just improve, it redefines. And at its heart, Type 4 problem solving is about delivering value that customers may not even know they need yet. It's about redefining the service delivery. We challenged ourselves in a similar way 3 years ago. One of our ongoing quality improvement focus areas is reducing unplanned hospital readmissions. These are instances where a patient returns to the hospital shortly after being discharged, often due to complications or gaps in follow-up care. At the time, our unplanned readmission rates were one of the highest in the UC system. We had been doing improvement work in this area for years. So it begged the challenge. What if incremental improvement isn't enough? We decided we needed to pursue radical change. We stepped back, broke down structural barriers, and looked at the problem systemically. We realized the solutions needed to be bigger than any one department could solve on their own. We implemented new cross-functional strategies to address the root causes of readmissions. Things like care transitions, patient education, and post-discharge support. And as those solutions took hold, we saw steady improvement. Today, we're ranked number 2 in the UC system for unplanned readmissions. That's the impact of open-ended problem solving. Ambiguous problems that require novel solutions or services means creating new value. So, who creates new value? I built this matrix to help us visualize where value is generated. The horizontal axis cohorts into existing value propositions and new value propositions. And on the vertical axis, it's split into new versus established organizations. And this creates 4 distinct quadrants: improvement, unmet needs, entrepreneurship, and intrapreneurship. Let's walk through them. The improvement quadrant reflects established organizations that are elevating and refining their existing services or products. I think we're the most familiar with this one. But sometimes, even within those existing services and products, there are still unmet needs. In this case, established organizations often spin off incubators or create partnerships with newer, smaller companies to supplement those gaps. The unmet needs quadrant reflects this scenario. Startups are often in the space of creating new value. And these entrepreneurial ventures require not just creating new products and services, but also new markets. And this is reflected in the entrepreneurship quadrant. So in general, startups chase new value and established organizations improve existing value. But there's a powerful space in the middle, intrapreneurship. This is the space where established organizations pursue new value creation. And that is where we can thrive. This is the quadrant I want to move us towards today. We have the infrastructure, the talent, and the mission. We just need to unlock our creative potential. Transformational problem solving isn't something that's just theoretical. It's something we've done. For example, in December 2020, we got word that COVID-19 vaccines would be available in just 3 weeks. It was the first real step towards emerging from lockdown. We could have taken the conventional route, distributed vaccines through ambulatory clinics, asked patients to schedule appointments, and rolled it out gradually. But we knew the problem was bigger than that. Our goal wasn't just to vaccinate our patients. It was to vaccinate as many people in our community as possible, as quickly as possible. There was a lot of ambiguity. We'd never delivered a service like this before. But we approached it as a level 4 problem. Open-ended, urgent, and visionary. We leveraged a unique community partnership. We're the official healthcare provider for the San Diego Padres Major League Baseball team. So we set up shop in a place we'd never operated before, the parking lot of a baseball stadium. We rented tents from a party rental company since no one was hosting parties at the time. We designed standard work, launched quickly, and iterated constantly, sometimes hourly. And over 68 days, we vaccinated 25% of our city's population. It became a model for the state and the country, recognized by both the governor and the White House. That's what level 4 problem solving looks like. It's not just about scaling. It's about reimagining how we deliver services in the moments that matter the most. Each quadrant in the innovation framework, improvement, unmet needs, entrepreneurship, and intrapreneurship, has its own strengths. But each also comes with distinct challenges that can stall progress if we're not intentional. In the improvement quadrant, the challenge is inertia. Improvement is inherently incremental, and while it's essential for sustaining competitiveness, it can be slowed by bureaucracy, reactive firefighting, and comfort with the status quo. The risk is we spend all our energy optimizing yesterday's systems instead of building tomorrow's. In the unmet needs quadrant, the challenge is ownership. These are often ambiguous problems with unclear stakeholders. No one owns them, so they linger. But organizations that can identify and address these gaps have a powerful opportunity to differentiate themselves and exceed expectations. In the entrepreneurship quadrant, the challenge is resources. Entrepreneurs operate with limited capital, face regulatory hurdles, and often lack an established customer base. They must navigate uncertainty and iterate rapidly to find product market fit. It's high risk, but potentially high reward. And finally, in the intrapreneurship quadrant, the space where established organizations pursue new value, the challenge is culture. So that's what we need to focus on for success. Fear of failure, risk aversion, and perfectionism can stifle experimentation. Entrepreneurs need time, psychological safety, and influence to succeed. Without those, even the best ideas can wither. Understanding these challenges helps us build the right support structures so that innovation doesn't just survive, but thrive. And here's the good news for us at this conference. We already have a culture of continuous improvement. So let's build on that. We can build a bridge that leverages our experience and expertise with improvement culture to support an entrepreneurial culture where it's safe to experiment, to fail, to learn. And that's how we move from incremental to transformational. The foundations for type 1, 2, and 3 problem solving are the same foundations for type 4. Lean is a socio-technical discipline. It isn't just about efficiency, it's about people, respect for people, empowerment, learning from failure. These are the same values that support innovation. Let's leverage our culture that challenges assumptions. Let's continue to empower frontline staff. Let's encourage a bias towards action, even when we don't have all the answers. Lean gives us the structure and mindset to innovate boldly. So there's no doubt in my mind that we can leverage a lot from the improvement quadrant. But looking to our other neighbor, there's also a lot that we can learn from the entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs thrive in uncertainty. They don't wait for perfect data. They act on insight and instinct. They challenge the status quo. And more than anything, they're agile, resourceful, and resilient. They aren't afraid to fail. They fail forward by reflecting, learning, adjusting, and trying again. These are the traits that we need to cultivate inside our organizations. The entrepreneurial mindset is what powers innovation in uncertain environments. It's about seeing opportunity where others see risk, making decisions with limited information, and staying adaptable in the face of constant change. Let's dig into this a little deeper. At the heart of this mindset are 3 essential traits: vision, agility, and resourcefulness. Vision gives us direction. It inspires teams and aligns efforts even when the path isn't clear. We can say, We don't know exactly how we get there, but we know where we're headed. That clarity of purpose becomes a true north. Agility helps us pivot when things don't go as planned. Entrepreneurs do this instinctively, adjusting based on feedback, regulatory reviews, or market signals. They don't get stuck, they iterate. And resourcefulness, that's the ability to do more with less. Entrepreneurs don't say, "That's not on my job card." They get scrappy. They find creative solutions and they stretch every resource to make progress. But here's the thing. These traits aren't just for startups. We already practice them in our lean operations through PDSA cycles, coaching kata, waste walks, level loading, and design thinking. These are the tools of entrepreneurs, people like you and me working inside complex systems to create meaningful change. Let's actively connect these entrepreneurial traits to our lean strengths. Because when we do, we don't just improve, we transform. I'll share one last story to illustrate how we can blend lean thinking with an entrepreneurial mindset. A few years ago, our call centers were undergoing centralization. It was a step in the right direction, but the result still wasn't patient-centric enough. We had over 100 different phone numbers just for primary care. Patients were getting bounced around between the call center and clinics for care-related questions. It was confusing, inefficient, and frustrating. We realized we were putting too much of the burden of navigating care onto the patient. And patients were comparing us to other industries, airlines, e-commerce, tech, where customer service is seamless and personalized. They expected us to know who they are, understand their needs, and help them quickly. And frankly, they were right. So we asked ourselves, what if our call center wasn't just reactive, but proactive? What if it didn't just schedule appointments, but actually help patients navigate their care? We decided to reimagine the call center as a care navigation hub. We brought together stakeholders from population health, ambulatory care, nursing, pharmacy, triage, IT, financial clearance, even psych. Together, we envisioned a system that could meet every reason a patient might call us, and even anticipate some they hadn't thought of yet. Today, in addition to scheduling, our hub offers nurse triage, pharmacy refills, care assistance, outbound outreach, and a growing list of services, all in one place. It's a one-stop shop that continues to evolve with new processes, services, and technology. This wasn't just a redesign. It was a redefinition. We took an existing function and turned it into a strategic asset. That's what happens when lean meets entrepreneurship. So, how do we get there? I believe it starts with a culture shift. It requires letting your team be part of innovation and solutioning. There are things you can do to actively cultivate a culture that supports curiosity and creativity in our workplaces. First, encourage a bias for action. Support try-storming. Even small experiments can spark big ideas. Second, bring different voices to the table. Cross-functional collaboration fuels innovation. Third, invest in growing our innovation muscles through training and shared learning. Fourth, celebrate creative thinking, even when it doesn't lead to immediate wins. And fifth, build environments where it's safe to take smart risks. Use tools like kata to challenge assumptions and rethink the usual way. And here's a bonus. It's my favorite. Look beyond your own industry. Some of the best ideas come from unexpected places. This conference is a great way to start exposing ourselves to perspectives and approaches from other industries and countries. This is how organizations climb out of their mental valleys and explore new possibilities. If we're going to deliver unprecedented value, we need cultures and systems that support entrepreneurship, where bold ideas can thrive inside our organizations. I'll wrap this up. If your industry or organization is at a crossroads, you can choose to react or you can choose to lead. Let's make sure we're solving all 4 types of problems. Let's be entrepreneurs, visionary, agile, and resourceful. The future depends on our willingness to embrace open-ended problem solving, leveraging our lean cultures, and embracing entrepreneurial mindsets within our established organizations. We need lean now more than ever. So I want to thank you all for the opportunity to connect and learn together today. It's inspiring to see how lean thinking continues to unite people across industries and borders in the pursuit of better systems, better outcomes, and better experiences. I wish you all continued success in your work. May your efforts lead to meaningful change, empowered teams, and lasting impact wherever you are in the world. I think we have a little time for questions.
Thank you, Ashley. We do. What a wonderful, inspiring presentation. I've had the benefit of hearing it once before, which was the reason why I really wanted you to share it with this group. It's interesting, isn't it? I've been writing questions down along the way, and I do invite people to pop some questions in the Q&A section. But you've answered so many of my questions as you've proceeded through the presentation, which is always a really, great sign of a well thought out presentation. One of the questions I had, you talked a lot about some tools and some mindsets that are certainly helpful in entrepreneurship. I'm just wondering about the practices. From an entrepreneur, what sort of practices would you expect to see or hope to have?
I think that there are a lot of the same practices that we would look for in lean leadership, right? So a curiosity, listening to voice of customer, understanding where the unmet needs are. And then I think it's combining that with the practice of, problem solving, but maybe thinking outside of your existing boundaries or constraints, right? So you start thinking about ecosystem. How could you leverage partnerships with others? How could you include your customer in some of the design? And thinking creatively about resourcing. Probably the biggest practice is experimentation and trying new things, which can be hard in established organizations.
Fantastic. Because the theme of this event is around rethinking leadership, and as a leader of a team working on improvement, transformation, are there things that you have to think about in terms of the way you lead your team to encourage type 4 problem solving and this practice of entrepreneurship?
Yes, I think the biggest thing is one of our core principles is to be as inclusive as possible in the innovation. So not just plug and play necessarily what's been done elsewhere, although there's definitely a place for best practice adaptation. I think in this case, it's really thinking creatively, bringing together people that interface with different parts of the processes or different aspects of the customer relationship. And our team really sees themselves as not necessarily the ones that have all the answers, but facilitators of finding those, as discoverers of those answers. And really, our role is to help bring others through some processes to create the systems and structures that allow them to come up with the novel solutions.
Thank you. It's really wonderful to see the application of art work in your thinking. It's been, really life-changing for me, the way that I've used art small sport types of problems in my work. So it's great to see that reinforced, and I'm glad you enjoyed his presentation earlier today. So it's 10:29. I'm expecting we're going to be called off the stage. So I'd love to thank you for presenting today, and look forward to hearing from others in the sessions to come. So thank you, Ashley.
Thank you.